Hello everyone. Well, it's me and it's been a while since I posted, but hey, I'm still here. And right now we're looking at my most recent kit bash. This is Myrtle. She's going to be the 8th locomotive for the Big Island and Pacific Railroad. She's a Baldwin Forney locomotive. Yeah, I've had this locomotive for a while. She was originally my Colorado and Southern number 23, which had a tall, straight stack with a bear trap on it. And it had a large snowplow in the front. And at first, when I got her, I was thrilled to have a unique-looking locomotive in my collection. But given that I didn't have the money to add a sound unit to the locomotive at the time, the locomotive was pretty much just stored away. And I didn't really get to her until last year, which is when I thought she would be perfect as another locomotive for Hawaii. And she was decided to be given the 8th spot. However, given the complications and difficulty I had with last year, since last year was absolute hell, the engine wasn't really put in the express lane to return to service until this year. This year has been a whole lot better. It's been like a non-stop party, given the number of steam train events going on this year and how busy I am. And yeah, I had the money to get this engine a Phoenix sound system. I also got the locomotive some wiring for the LED lights and a new smoke unit. And yeah, I decided to get working on her. And as you can see, she's had several changes. Her domes, her sand dome and the bell have been flip-flopped. The bell used to be over here, and the sand dome used to be over here, so I flip-flopped it because I thought it would look, give it a good look and have it differ a little bit from my other two Forneys. Her dynamo's still in the same location. Her bear trap stack would not look appropriate for Hawaii. We do not want a Rocky Mountain style steam locomotive on the Big Island of Hawaii. And that's when I thought, ugh, this will not look good. And not to mention the railroad's secretary, who is a good friend of mine, and she's really touchy about these trains, would not have approved of a bear trap on one of her engines. So I pulled the bear trap off and cut the stack somewhere around here, and took the Radley and Hunter stack off my Shirley Finette locomotive, which was given a beautiful Baldwin diamond, and thought the Radley and Hunter would be perfect for this engine. So I put the Radley and Hunter on this engine, glued it, and where the glue is, I painted it black and made some oil streak stripping so it looks like it's weathered, baked on steam oil, as well as the excess of glue looks like a part of the stack casting. I also took an old Mogul pilot, which was sitting in the back of my basement for a long time. I painted it up and weathered it, and I ordered some Mogul flagpoles and installed them on here. I then went to Phoenix Sound and ordered a Forney sound unit, and they said it was going to be hell to install a sound unit on this locomotive, when actually, because the engine was completely in pieces and I had done some of the cutting and grinding on the speaker rim, it was actually a pretty easy and straightforward installation. And I found a way to put the magnet sound triggers. I did some drilling on the ash pan, and the whistle and bell sound triggers are right at the bottom of the ash pan. I also added a ladder from Bachmann, from that of the Bachmann Shay, so I put a ladder on there. Also, right where you would plug in the LGB MTS sound, I tore that out in order to fit the soundboard, and I used some of the sticky paper where some of the sticky paper base where some of the sticky stuff which is used for the soundboard to stick the soundboard onto a wall. I glued it on there to protect the soundboard from corrosion and the weather and everything. And it's pretty much worked. It's pretty much waterproof. And yeah, here's one of the gears off my Heisler locomotive off the rear truck. Thought it would be a nice touch, as well as a Bachmann toolbox. And there's the sugarcane load, and right here, that's the old smokestack that came off the engine. I thought that would be a nice touch as well. As you can see, I also weathered the cab roof. I also installed a locomotive a whistle cord. Yep. I also installed a bell cord, which is on the other side of the engine. You might not be able to see it well. Yeah, you can see the top of the stack is weathered with ash, which gives it a nice realistic looking effect. And here's the left side of the engine. Yeah, the counterweights are red, because I thought that would give a nice effect, like that of a South American locomotive. Yeah, and I added a fireman, and you can vaguely see the bell rope. Yeah. This side, however, where it says BI and PRR, it does have a P, standing for Big Island and Pacific Railroad. The other side is missing a P because the P somehow disintegrated when I was trying to decal that on, and my decal set only had 2 P's on it. So I lost a P, so it says BI and Railroad. But hey, these engines have character, and this adds more character to the locomotive. You can see there's a lot of soot here. And what I did for the bell and whistle levers, I drilled a hole that would go right into the top of the roof so you can't see it inside the cab. Same thing with the bell rope. And the bell rope comes right down from the hole I drilled inside the roof to the other side of another hole and is glued in the top, well hidden so it can't be seen. Also, these are handrails from a Bachmann 440 since the old handrails broke off, and I thought they would be tacky and it would be hard to fix the old handrails, so I decided to buy a new set of handrails. And using weathering chalk, I weathered the smoke box a dark rust, along with the ash pan a dark rust, because it gets really hot in those areas. So because of that, and all the coating comes off, the under primer of the smoke box and the ash pan and firebox area are literally a very dark rust. Whereas a medium rust I used on the stack, because it's not as hot in the stack but still pretty hot. I put the medium rust on the stack, and I used a different colored rust, which is not as heavy as the dark rust, but heavier than the medium rust. And I used that on the outside frame, as well as on the plumbing and the air pump, as well as the coupler. And on the water hatch, I used light rust, because light rust would recommend water corrosion. Also, I used some of the between the medium rust and dark rust on the tender bogey. Yeah, so as you can see, I got quite a bit of character out of this locomotive. She has a lot more character now than she used to. Also, the LEDs I'm still trying to fix. I even tried to feature it with an in-glowing firebox where you would only be able to see it from around this area here as an in-glowing ash pan, where at night it would glow orange. But unfortunately, the Bachmann LEDs don't really work well on this, on an LGB locomotive. They instantly burned out. And LGB LEDs are really expensive. But it looks like I'm going to have to convert to LGB LEDs. And if they burn out, then please give me suggestions on what to do to fix the LED problem here. Otherwise, that's the only issue I need to work out on this engine. She runs great, she sounds great, she smokes great. She was given a new smoke unit because the old one burned out. Yeah, we'll take a little look at her. I expanded the track here a little bit in my apartment to run longer and larger trains. And also because of that, they run faster, they vibrate more, and, well, let's increase the noise level. So at night, I run these trains with their sound off, below 10 miles, scaled 10 miles an hour, so they don't make too much noise. Keeps the tenant below as little unhappy as possible. And at night, this is where I store the engine. Sorry for the shakiness there. Trying to hold the camera, or should I say iPhone, and controller, the engine speed at the same time. Really love that whistle and bell, and the rumble of that 2-inch speaker. Yeah, a lot of character in this locomotive. She's a sweet running locomotive, and this weekend she's going to a friend's house at his open house for his garden railroad to help stretch her wheels before she's put on a plane to Hawaii and is added to the collection to join the other locomotives. Also, Chi and Freya have had their soundboards upgraded to PB11s. A Climax has been added to the collection to join the Cheyenne Heisler that's over there. Well, since the railroad's been complete, there's been a lot more expansion on the railroad, and there's been an addition to the collection. And this is one of the engines joining the roster. Now, I feel she'd be a perfect locomotive to use as a primary engine for freight and passenger, given that almost all of her machinery is well protected on this locomotive, and LGB was built to withstand the harsh environments. Unlike Bachmann, which is really fragile, this engine is much stronger. Yeah, I should have gone with LGB in the first place. I'm glad I have this Fornia and I have kept it. Even though I didn't really get to it, I was glad I finally got to it and finished her up this year. Well, that's it for now. Chris 9017 out. Myrtle's gonna say goodnight.